Hey guys, it's been a while since we've had Bob Chapman on the line, and we have the one and only Bob Chapman back. Bob, how are you?
Pretty good for an old person.
Hey Bob, I just want to address one thing before we move on. Do you want to take 30 seconds to address this WND thing that people are drudging up from 2003?
It's ridiculous. I mean, the government wanted to destroy me, and that's what they did.
Right. What I always like to say is, if the tree bears fruit, support that person, and your tree's borne fruit for a very long time. We've talked about it on the record and off the record, and I'm going to just leave it there. We're going to continue to discuss these important matters, and people can either choose to listen or not listen.
That's their choice.
It's their choice. All right, I want to ask you this, Bob. What do you think about this new Pan-Asia Gold Exchange? Is this going to be a game changer?
Well, Andrew McGuire and others seem to think so. And Andrew is a professional trader, so I have to accede to his knowledge. I would have to say that there's a 50-50 chance of it being very, very strong. And, we see the manipulation that goes on. The people who control government, they go into the markets, and they do anything they want. The CFTC doesn't do anything about it because they're in on it, because they're a government agency. And it's been going on since 1988. And actually, it started a lot sooner than that. But when they did it in the 60s, it was illegal. But they did it anyway. And at the same time, they attacked the gold and silver shares. It's all simultaneously coordinated, and you can see it. And Monday is the day that they love to do it. But it's something that we have to put up with until the corporatist fascist government in America is unseated. And we can't go around, trying to overthrow the government on an individual basis because we get put in jail pretty quickly. And so what you do is you just work toward using the system as it is as best you can, because gold and silver isn't the only thing that they manipulated. They also manipulate all the other markets. I mean, they must be beside themselves this morning. The S&P is down the equivalent of 220 points, and Dow is down 162. Now, that is not a good start. See, on a market day like that, gold and silver should be up, and the dollar should be down, but the dollar's up.
Yeah. Well, and there's trouble in Europe, too. This is getting serious, boys and girls. So it looks like the European House of Cards is starting to tumble.
They go, we go.
They go, we go. That's what Lindsey Williams has said. That's what you've said. And it's not looking good, is it?
No, it isn't. And I've studied and been involved in this for 52 years, and I got a pretty good handle on it. And I've done virtually nothing else but the markets. We all knew it was coming. Any observer who even looks at mainline media sees that there's a tremendous problem. And the biggest problems to the large banks in Europe that are holding the bonds in all the countries that are in trouble. And if, say, the 6 countries that are in trouble, and Italy is the flavor of the day today, they have an emergency meeting on Italy as we speak. And if they all defaulted and left the euro, every bank in the world would go under because of the interconnectivity of all these banking institutions from country to country. Mm-hmm. I mean, look what happened when we had the credit crisis in the United States. Secretly, and we had to wait 2 years to find out in federal court, the appeals court, what the Fed was up to. They lied about it. They said it was a state secret, and we couldn't tell you. Well, they had to tell us. So what we found out was that they lent $13.8 trillion to the European banks. And my guess is they're in there doing the same thing right now, but it's not going to work. I mean, the problem that they created so well that it's a nightmare. In June of 2003, they technically passed the point of no return. They could never go back. They got to carry this thing all the way to the end, and they're going to get caught this time. because of programs like yours, people discussing these things. Why do they happen? I just saw an interview Max had with a gentleman who wrote a book, a professor, and about the problems that we're discussing. And Max's first question was, well, what's at the bottom of the problem? And the man said, he's a professor. He says, it's the bankers, or the banksters, as you call them. And that's where it all lies. All of the other things are superfluous. They don't mean anything. You've got to take down the banking system, and then you got to expose the people behind it and the history of them doing that within these families. And once people understand how it evolved and how it got to where it is, then they can say, oh yeah, but they never taught us that in school. Well, there's very few books on that. Mm-hmm. But this is really what's been going on because they suppress everything.
Right. Well, and it's the same powers that are suppressing, the truth of the matter here in this country. I mean, you want to talk about a paradigm shift, Bob. Let's talk about this debt ceiling deal, which, it's really a Sophie's choice. Either they raise the debt ceiling and they raise taxes, or they default. And they really need to come up with a deal in short order here, probably within the next, 10 or 11 or 12 days. This is a no-win situation. I mean, what is the out here, Bob? What's the out for the American people, and what's the out for this quote-unquote government that we have?
Stop everything. Have a statesman, which I don't know that we have any left in America, stand up and say, okay, this is what the problems are. Ron Paul gets close to that. If not, he's the guy. And he's going to say, look, this is what's wrong. We got to purge the system. We got to let all of these companies that are bankrupt, too big to fail. We got to let them go under. Yes, it's going to take our banking system down. Yes, your accounts are going to get wiped out at the bank. Your insurance policies, your CDs. The only thing that's going to survive in any form is gold and silver related assets. It's going to happen to you sooner or later, and if you don't do it now, you're going to pay the piper later. Only the pain is going to be even worse. You'll have nothing at all. I mean, at least during the Depression, things went down between 60 and 90%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average went down 90%. And so, can we do worse than that? Sure we can. I mean, the people who lead things for the elitists, Zbigniew Brzezinski and Henry Kissinger, even Hillary Clinton now, are telling us we're going to have a revolution in America. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not unusual for those who know that they planned it that way.
Please click here for part 2.